Early to bed, early to rise. It's not a bad maxim by which to conduct ourselves. The man who coined the phrase, Benjamin Franklin, is without a doubt one of the greatest men in history. A founding father, signatory to the Constitution, a successful writer and printer who later became a major contributor in the War of Independence. A great inventor whose creations were as diverse as the lightning rod and the bifocal lens. A social campaigner who fought against injustice and for the education and enlightenment of all, especially the poor. Franklin was also an active abolitionist. He lived to the grand old age of 84, twice the average for his time. Few have contributed so much to so many fields, and he was perhaps the greatest polymath in history. But how could one man fit so much good into his life? A problem Franklin solved masterfully. He would seek to achieve moral perfection, a task he considered both bold and arduous, and therefore for Franklin extremely appealing. To meet this challenge, Benjamin created his 13 virtues, guides through which to live one's life. First was to show temperance, moderation in what we consume. He endeavored not to waste words and to say only what needed to be said. He called his virtue silence. He believed in order, for all things to have their time and place, in resolution, to execute upon essential tasks, and in frugality, avoiding the misuse of financial resources. Industry was next, which meant to focus time and attention only on the most important. Use no hurtful deceit, he said, under his virtue of sincerity. He believed in justice and moderation, in cleanliness in all we do, tranquility or maintaining a sense of perspective. His last two virtues were chastity, the importance of which he learned from experience, and humility. Franklin was not a Christian, but he believed in a higher being. He tried to live his life accordingly, seeking to imitate Jesus and Socrates. In fact, he added humility as an additional virtue to his original 12. A Quaker friend told him kindly but repeatedly, with numerous examples, that Franklin could be somewhat overbearing in conversation, that not only did he seek to win every argument, but so emphatically did he wish to make his point that he tended towards insolence. He was determined to rid himself of this arrogance. But Franklin understood that his virtues were targets rather than absolutes. His dream was to live his life without committing any fault at any time, an impressive goal, and he realized that any progress he made towards it would make him a better person. Franklin was a realist as much as a dreamer, and to change his life so wholeheartedly would present too much of a challenge even for himself. So he sought to achieve his virtues one at a time. He created a chart on which he could record his failings and focused on one virtue for each week. Whenever he wavered, he would restart the week again and persisted until he could adhere to the virtue for a continuous 7 days. His aim was to gradually reduce his failings, and although to begin with he found so many that he wore away the ledger in which he recorded them, gradually they became less and less commonplace. Franklin stuck to his task, occasionally breaking from it and returning anew. Soon he found he could take a week off, then a month, then a whole year, and needed only occasional returns to his goals to maintain his search for moral perfection. He used these guidelines to organize his days, maximizing productivity in every moment. He rose at 5 after sleeping with the window open, something frowned upon in those times. He breakfasted early and worked until noon, at which time he ate his main meal of the day. He worked again from 2 until 6. Then he ate lightly before spending the rest of the evening reviewing his day, talking and relaxing. He retired promptly at 10. Even in our modern times, we can see that this is an efficient way in which to live one's daily life. Before going to bed, he set an important daily question to answer. What good have I done today? He would ask of himself. Of his virtues, order was the one he found hardest to achieve. He learned that he could not control the lives of others, and where they interacted with him he must bend and sway towards their own needs. Temperance, too, in later life became a challenge. The rotund figure we see on postage stamps and the $100 bill was fond of the best champagne, and he did occasionally indulge himself. Franklin stated with a touch of understandable pride that once he acquired his virtues, he did not utter a single dogmatic statement for the remainder of his life. Benjamin Franklin was truly a great figure, one who gave so much to his people. However, he was not perfect. Perhaps his greatest strength is, although he had his weaknesses, he recognized them and promptly sought to address them.